All right. Hello, everyone. So this is Martin from Swiss Distance University of Applied Sciences. But today I'm here with my colleagues Tia and Claire to present you a study from the Open University, actually. That is about predictive learning analytics that you heard about a lot in this morning, and about university teachers, in particular usage and perceptions of 3 years post the implementation. So as you have heard in the morning, predictive learning analytics is quite established in learning analytics field for some years, and among some predictors of student success are their previous grades, their activity in e-learning. But when predictive learning analytics are deployed, one of the factors that predicts also student success is the actual usage of teachers of these tools. Still, some challenges that remain to be addressed is that there are still small-scale implementation, mostly, if at all. Most of the studies are like from the early adoption, and given the importance of the teachers in the predictive learning analytics, we address the gap how to systematically engage teachers with predictive learning analytics, particularly in scenario that is from more mature stage of the implementation. So the system that we will talk about is the Early Alert Indicators Dashboard that's been developed since 2014 and deployed at the moment to all undergraduate and postgraduate courses, more than 4,000 teachers teaching more than 200,000 students. And this is made of two predictive systems. The first one is OU Analyze, that's more short-term predictions that every week there is a machine learning algorithm that predicts which students are likely not to submit their next assignment. And the second one that is more long-term, that's updated 4 times during the course, and that's estimating if the student is likely to finish or complete the course, to reach the exam and pass. And by long-term, it's quite worth noting that the courses at the Open University are like more than 30 weeks long, so it's really something long-term. So what the teacher sees is this color-coded dashboard. So you see all the students in their group, their previous performance, their assignments on the left side, and then both of these models. First is the short-term predictions. You see that which like color-coded submit, not submit, and the risk of this non-submission, and also like banded predictions of this logistic regression of the completion and passing. Then the teacher can zoom in to the specific students, so you can see the students' actual engagement in Moodle compared to the cohort and the two predictive models. So the one on the left is the long term, and the one on the right is the short term. The short term, probably you cannot read it, but on the right side is also complemented with the explanation that comes from LIME algorithm. So you could see, for example, here that the student is estimated not to submit the first assignment because of many modules that they failed and low activity. In the end, the student submitted because, and there is an information, the student got actually extension of the assignment. So what we want to look at here, two objectives. The first one is to capture and explain the perceived usage of the tool, and this will be done by qualitative analysis, and then to identify any differences between different faculties at the Open University, and then between new and experienced teachers. So we have a sample of 366 tutors that their role is not only to mark and assign grades and deliver online tutorials, but at the Open University, their role is also to monitor and support students, a group of 20 students. This is very important because it is actually their role to do this. It's not like this everywhere. And the method of data collection is a questionnaire that will be discussed in more detail later, that was sent out to all the faculties with both open and closed-ended questions. So the distribution of the teacher is spread out equally to the proportion of the faculties. So STEM faculty is represented more because this is how there are more teachers at the Open University in STEM faculty and less in business. What is also important is that we have both very new teachers, like with 0 to 2 years of experience, as well as quite experienced one with 11 and 20 years of teaching experience. So I'll pass it to Claire.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Claire Maguire, and I'm also from the Open University. So we're just going to move, you're going to move that down, please. Can you move this? See if it looks better at the bottom for us in the room. Right, so I'm going to take you through the theory that underpinned our study. It's called the Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology. And this is a theory which has underpinned studies in about 2,000 other studies, so it's well used, and 700,000 people have been through those studies. So in commerce, in a range of businesses. So it's a well-tested study. So we've had to adapt it, obviously, for our education sector. But in this theory, 4 factors were found to explain behavioural intentions and the actual use of technology. So the 4 main factors are performance expectancy. So this refers to perceived benefits emerging from using a technology. And a subset of that is attitudes towards technology, which you can imagine that influences. The next one is effort expectancy. So this refers to how easy the user thinks the technology is going to be. So that's influenced by self-efficacy, low anxiety, and positive attitude towards technology. The third is social influence. So this refers to significant others in the user's life and whether they think the technology should be used. So how other people can influence the user. And finally, facilitating conditions. So this refers to whether users think there's a structure within the organisation that's going to support their adoption of the technology, such as training. So next slide. So this is the factors we've identified, I've spoke through, and all the questions that we've designed to go against those factors. But obviously you can't really read it in this way, so we won't focus on this, but I hope you've got access to our presentation. So what are the findings? EAID, remind you, stands for Early Alerts Indicator Dashboard. And the findings are that, I'm going to go through the qualitative findings after I've gone through these. So the findings were that the users used a range of the features, and these are all the features they could use. But the top 3 were checking in on the students' VLE engagement, virtual learning environment engagement, the student's last login, and the student's assignment results. So those were the top 3 uses of the dashboard. But as you see, there's other uses that the tutors, the teachers valued: individual grades, individual predictions. TMA stands for assignment. In our university, it's a tutor marked assignment, so we call them TMAs. We love 3-letter abbreviations at the university. You can't move for them. So let's go to the next slide. And then the next one is teachers' response to the predictions. So here, looking at our teachers' response to them, a total of 43% of the sample said that the predictive learning analytics provided an insight into their students. And I think that's really significant. So they believed that their practice has benefited from using this early alerts dashboard. And so we are working with that really positive message from 43% of the sample to try and get other people to adopt the dashboard. So that's the objective that I'm going to look at now, and the qualitative part of the study. So what was the usage of the dashboard from the 366 people who responded to our questionnaire? So hopefully, apologies if these colours don't work for you, if you're colourblind, but hopefully you've got numbers there too, so I will say both. The blue represents the 42% of the teachers who are using the dashboard. So that's responding positively, I use dashboard, so 42%. The green represents 18% who have heard about it but have not yet used it. The yellow represents 20% who have tried it in the past but are not using it at the moment. And the red group, 19%, said it was the first time they'd ever heard of it, even though we'd done lots of communication. But we used this positively to send them a message saying, well, if it's the first time you've heard of it, great, follow this link and learn more. So hopefully by doing that, we promoted the dashboard use. So what did the teachers say in that group of 18% who've heard about the dashboard but haven't used it yet? In this green group, their responses we themed. So we've got training theme, we've got an awareness theme, we've got priorities, and then we've got an other group. So this really shows the need of training here. So I'm unaware of its function. So if you're unaware, you're not likely to go and use it. And awareness, I haven't got round to it. Because of doing this questionnaire, I've now checked it out and I hope to use it. So that's really positive. The yellow group, 20%. I tried it in the past, but I'm not using it at the moment. And these are really the most interesting group because they obviously tried it and it didn't meet their needs. So what were they saying? So here, they really provide us an insight to what we can try and do to increase adoption. So training was a reason for not using it at the moment. And also technical issues they face when on the dashboard put them off. And I think the reminder thing's really interesting for people managing projects. I usually forget it's available and sometimes worry it will create work. So I've got no time to do it. And that's slightly worrying because their job is to look after the students, but there's that tension between if I go to the dashboard and find out someone needs me, that's even more work. So that's a really interesting response. And then my last group is the blue group, the 42% who say they use the dashboards. And here I'll draw your attention to the ethics. I did worry about the dashboard adversely affecting my judgment or affecting my marking, but I found this not to be the case. So that's really great news.
And I have 3 minutes to talk you through
3 minutes, sorry.
the quantitative analysis. So we tried to identify differences in perceptions as measured by the questionnaire, and we found out that teachers had positive perceptions regarding performance expectancy, effort expectancy, self-efficacy, and anxiety. You can see the means there to see how big those things were, and also behavior and intention. They were rather undecided as to their attitudes, because you can see it's around 3 on a 5-point Likert scale, and they were slightly negative on social influence, meaning that they weren't really influenced by others to use it, and the facilitated conditions were not there to support their use. We did multiple linear regression, explaining 66% of the variance, which is really good compared to what other studies have done. And we find 4 predictors of behavior intention. And you can see there is performance expectancy, efficacy, attitudes, and low anxiety. So they were not really nervous when using the system. So differences across faculties and between new and experienced ALs. There were no differences across faculties, suggesting that the ALs were very similar in their perceptions across faculties. Yet, it was interesting that we found significant differences between new and experienced teachers. And by new, they were up to 5 years at the university and experienced 6 years plus. You can see the statistics there, and the table shows actually the differences. The new teachers had more positive attitudes about using the dashboard compared to the experienced one. Their intention to use it was much higher, their attitudes much better, and perceived expectancy again higher. And this is my very last slide. Our contribution with this paper is that we are offering a context-specific understanding of UTAUT applicable to predictive analytics in higher education. And as you can see from this model that summarizes both the qualitative and quantitative findings of this study, you can see on the left-hand side the factors influencing behavior intention, the intention to use the dashboard. These factors are moderated by how experienced or not the teachers are, because as we said before, the new teachers were much more positive. And then we have the red arrows showing negative effects, that facilitated conditions like training and support were not in place, and effort expectancy, they faced difficulties when using the dashboard, and this made things difficult in terms of their retention and actual use. Social influence and faculty were not related, but we think that the social influence may be an issue of not being in place at the institution where we examine it, because they work individually and from a distance, and more likely they didn't have a chance to be influenced by others or the university. this is the studies, relevant studies that you could have a look if you want to. And thank you for attending. Happy to answer any questions.